Today we're going to talk about service notes. Service notes are often referred to as progress notes or clinical notes. There are several reasons and purposes that we do service notes. Some of those are documenting the sessions of our clients, tracking progress, creating treatment plans, coordinating care, and then also for legal and ethical records. At Encompass Healthcare, we've got several parts of our service note that we are going to review today. These are listed in the slide. The first part is the actual service note details. This is where you will find important details like the start and end time of your session, what procedure or service code that you used, and the mode of delivery that you're using. For example, is this a telehealth appointment? Is this appointment in the community, etc.? The most common mistakes made in this section are not documenting the exact start and end time of your session or using the wrong procedure code. The next section is the custom field section. This is where you can document any additional service details that are necessary and applicable. In this section, you'll want to refer to your supervisor who would direct you to do that if this is applicable to you. Some of the most common mistakes in this section are not documenting if other people are present in your session with you and your client. The next section is the billing diagnosis. This section is pulled from another part of SmartCare, and it shouldn't be changed while completing a service note. The next section is the information or current life events. As of October 2024, this section is not currently being utilized. The next section is the section that tracks EBPs utilized during your session. This is where you can indicate with check boxes if you are using an EBP in which you have specific training or experience. Some of the most common mistakes here would be skipping this section and not including any EBPs that you're using. This is often used for data collection and to provide evidence of some of the great services that you're providing. The next section is the objectives and goals that are addressed from the ISP in this service note. This is the section where you should see the goals and objectives that are on a client's current ISP pull into the service note. You should check goals and objectives that are tied to the interventions that you are providing and document that in the subsequent section. This is all a part of ensuring that the golden thread is present. Some of the most common mistakes are when goals are not pulling into the note. This is usually due to not having an active ISP or interventions not being related to the goals or objectives that are actually checked. The next section is the client's current condition. Using check boxes, you can document notable clinical information about the client's current condition, and if something is remarkable, you must provide specifics. The next section is the safety plan. This is a section where you can document if the client has any current risk. Please note that if the client is at high risk for suicide, you want to reference our suicide pathway for more information on steps to take. Some of the most common mistakes in these sections are indicating that a risk is present, but not following up with a safety plan. The next sections are where you'll probably spend the most time in your service note. They are the interventions and progress. So this is what the focus of the session was. This is the section where you can document the overall theme of your session with the client, what was the focus of your time with them, for example, anxiety management, replacement of maladaptive thinking patterns, learning skills to manage conflict, etc. Some of the most common mistakes in this section are using this section for interventions instead of providing information about the overall focus or just providing incorrect information. The next section is where you will describe the interventions provided. In this section, you will note the specific interventions that you used in that session with the client. This should only be actions taken by you, the staff member. This is the section where you will be specific about interventions within the best practices that you are utilizing. Some common mistakes are not providing specific interventions and only giving an overall approach or theme. So, for example, just saying MI and CBT instead of giving detailed information about what MI or CBT techniques you were using, or including information about how the client responded in this section instead of just focusing on your interventions as the clinical staff member. The next section is the client response section. This section pertains to the client response to the interventions and any other pertinent information or observations related to the client that occurred during this session. The staff's observations and interpretation of the client's physical and emotional state can be included here as well. Staff's observation of any progress made towards the client's goal and objectives should also be noted in this section. Some common mistakes made in the client response section are using this section for interventions that are done by the staff or also providing information that is not relevant to the goals or objectives. The last section is the plan. The plan is the next step in the treatment process. If the current interventions are not working, then the plan would incorporate a new intervention or new approach. The plan must be related to the client's goals and objectives, and it should be specific. The most common mistakes made in this section are not being specific enough. For example, just saying continue therapy as needed or continue treatment. You want to be specific in providing the next steps for the client in treatment. And that is it for our training on service notes. Thank you all very much.